So, this was posted a while ago, and this was about the leak of God of War Ragnarok. Now, I don't know how many people watched this, but this was because God of War Ragnarok leaked way ahead of the game's release. Like, I had early access to the game. Sony sent me a copy like on the 4th of November, and this actually leaked ahead of that. That's how bad this leak was. The reason this leaked was because some stores broke street date. They straight up broke street date, and this happens all the time. Certain stores, they just break street date. They don't give a damn. And this is becoming a serious problem in the industry. Now, if we read this, you'll notice as we approach launch, it's important for us to preserve the experience of God of War Ragnarok for players who want to enjoy the game for the first time without spoilers. We ask that you please be considerate of the many fans who now want to accidentally see clips, gameplay, or narrative spoilers and avoid sharing them wider. We are doing our best to limit the exposure of unsanctioned footage and screenshots, but the reality is that we cannot catch everything. Those of you who do not want to risk seeing anything before launch, we strongly advise that you mute any keywords or hashtags associated with the game until release day. We appreciate the support you've shown us more than we can say. We can assure you that it will be worth the wait to experience the game yourself when it is released in less than 2 weeks on November 9th. Thank you, Santa Monica Studio. Now, I don't remember if he replied here or not. It doesn't seem like I can actually see the replies, but I remember that Corley Barlog made a comment on this, saying that potentially what would end up happening due to these constant leaks in the industry would be like, hey, we'll just have to ship discs that don't actually have the game installed on it. Which, interestingly enough, if you then look towards Modern Warfare, turns out the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 disc is basically empty. We talked about this in the previous live stream. If you're buying Call of Duty physically, you're basically buying an empty Blu-ray disc. Players who received early physical copies of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 have reported that the discs included contain only about 72 megabytes of data, forcing players to connect to the internet and download the other 100 gigabytes of data to actually play the game. It's important to point out that when Modern Warfare 2 came out, as far as I understand, there actually wasn't there wasn't any multiplayer modes. So basically, you had this single player game. You had this disc which had 72 megabytes of data, but in reality, that disc meant absolutely fucking nothing because you have to download the entire of the single player game. Again, I want to point this out, of the single player game from the internet, which is really dumb. Officially, Modern Warfare 2 is not until tomorrow. This article was wrote a couple of weeks ago, on the 27th of October, but it is not until tomorrow. But as usual, a few copies of the upcoming military first-person shooter slipped out of the warehouses a bit early and ended up in the hands of some lucky players. In theory, I guess those players weren't that lucky because if you have to download the game, probably you weren't able to download it. This disc should contain the game's campaign, which was released early digitally, and should include its multiplayer, which fully launches for all tomorrow. Oh, it actually does. It did have multiplayer. I thought that Modern Warfare 2 came with the campaign before, but whatever. On the official release date, but as reported by Eurogamer, that's not the case. Instead, players who got early copies of Modern Warfare 2 discovered that the disc was basically empty and that they would have to download and install the entire game via the internet before they could play. Kotaku reached out to Activision about these dummy discs and if the company plans on offering actual retail copies of the game in the future. Modern Warfare 2, after the latest patch, is reportedly over 150 gigabytes large when you include campaign and multiplayer, and that doesn't include the yet-to-be-released Warzone 2.0 that's out in November. While some players will be able to download the game easily and quickly, for others, the large file size could take hours or days to download, and it could push them over their existing internet data cap. Another problem, as pointed out by Eurogamer, is that in some parts of the world, energy costs are rising rapidly, and leaving a large next-gen console running for hours to download a game could be a costly situation. But if even everyone in the world had great internet, low energy bills, and tons of free time to wait around for Modern Warfare 2 to download, it wouldn't change how inconvenient this dummy disc situation is. It ends up making it harder to preserve console versions of the game legally, another blow to game preservation. And sure, this isn't the first time a publisher has shipped nearly empty discs. It still sucks that it's happening again, as it makes preserving games much, much harder for what is one of the biggest franchises in the world. Plus, what happens when Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 servers die one day, and it is important to mention that this is when they die one day. Like you can probably guess, unless Activision changes something in the future, this and all its 72 megabytes of its data will just become a paperweight. when the servers die. At least you can play the other 46 Call of Duty games that are also called Modern Warfare instead. So it's like, this is a serious problem. This is extremely anti-consumer. And this is something that I'm personally extremely passionate about because I care about physical media. I care about physical media. And here's the situation, right? Look, if fucking gaming shops can't get their shit together, they can't enforce the release dates of video games, then these gaming shops just need to get fucking blacklisted. It's just that simple. Identify where the problem came for, blacklist these people. You get copies of games 1 week after the game comes out from now on. That's simple. Just identify the problem. From now on, that store gets the games 1 week later than everybody else. That's the way they got to do it. Because this is so utterly ridiculous that you basically release a game with 72 megs because you're concerned, potentially concerned, about like whether or not the shit's gonna leak. Like, no. And they don't talk about the leak thing here, but I would wager that these two things are most likely coming together. All those shops get it 1 month later. I don't know. They're reminded we know how to bought the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for the first time when it was released. I went to the retail shop, bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, opened up what I saw was just a piece of paper with a CD key inside, and I was like, where the fuck is the game disc? Then I realized I had to download the game from Steam and install. I was like, what the hell did I go and then bought myself a physical copy without having game discs inside at all? Exactly, Digimerc. Exactly. This is a serious problem. Like, people need to understand that game preservation is important. Like, I've talked about this previously, how I can't actually buy like a physical version of something like Soul Sacrifice Delta because there's no Western version of it. Like, you might find some weird version in Asia or whatever. I think there was a Chinese version or something like that. I know the Gaijin Hunter bought it when I got him into Soul Sacrifice. But it's like, I can't find a copy of that anywhere. I'd love to have one. I don't. So what happens is, with Sony already wanting to close down the PlayStation Vita store, eventually there will come a day like my PlayStation Vita might die or whatever, and the store will be shut down, so I can't just go and download it again, and I won't have Soul Sacrifice anymore. Like, it's bad enough that there hasn't been a remake of Soul Sacrifice or some re-release in modern platforms or something like that, but on top of it, there is actual potential that there's going to be, and like Soul Sacrifice, there are plenty of other great games most likely stuck on the Vita that are going to die. Yeah, like the Wii U store, I believe, is already dead. And that for me, that's another one for me. Like the Wii U store, that's where I have Xenoblade Chronicles X. I don't have a physical version of Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, what the fuck? It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. This is a serious problem. And these people need to fucking sort this shit out. Because, like, look, you need to understand why people like me want to buy a physical version of a game. It is because I'm going to be able to, fucking 5-10 years from now, put that physical version of the game into the console and just play the game. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case. It hasn't been the case for a while because nowadays every single game that comes out has a day one patch. Every single one. And a lot of the times you don't install that day one patch, it's going to be a problem. So when the servers go down, you're fucked. You're fucked. And that really, really sucks. And this is not the only one. Like, I have another example where, like, I bought this game new for my nephew, The Outer Worlds. Notice what says here in the box. Internet download required. What the fuck is this? Fuck do you mean internet download required? Put the game in the fucking cartridge. Like, what is wrong with you? Internet download required my fucking foot, dude. Like, listen. This is a serious problem in the industry. I understand that there's a lot of people out there like, oh, I'll just buy it digitally, it's whatever. What happens when the servers go down? What you gonna do with a digital game? It's gone. Forever. I don't think that's reasonable. And I understand that some games that is expected to happen, games that have a heavy multiplayer component, like I've mentioned previously, Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft. When those games shut down, those characters are gone forever. But that's an understanding that players have. When those games shut down, my character will be gone forever. It's whatever, right? That's an understanding that you have. But not every game needs to do that. Another good example is Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise, the cartridge has the 1.0 version. Even if you buy the Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak box, which is a thing, you can buy like the physical version of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Like if we go Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak box, like there should be, because I've seen it. Yeah, like see, there's this. Oh, shoot. Can I just like, oh wait, that was this. There's so few pictures of this box, so few people have it. But yeah, there is a box which is Monster Hunter Rise with Sunbreak. The Sunbreak is a code, and the cartridge is the same cartridge of Monster Hunter Rise, which includes Monster Hunter Rise 1.0. Again, 1.0, not even 3.0, which actually has, you know, the full story of the original Monster Hunter Rise. Like imagine if the servers die for the Switch eventually, like a couple of years in the future. Well, not a couple of years, probably quite a few years in the future. Those servers die. You want to play Monster Hunter Rise again, you're going to be playing version 1.0. It's super weird, dude. It's super weird. And then there's another thing that apparently has been happening. And I wasn't even aware of this because, like, look, unfortunately, space has become a problem for me. So while I would love to have something like, you know, God of War Collector's Edition. I love Collector's Editions. I think they're amazing. I just don't have space to put all of the shit that comes out of a Collector's Edition. So I stopped buying Collector's Editions. But, like, I was so disappointed when I heard this news because, number one of the things that was revealed with this news, for me, that was news, is that the Collector's Edition of God of War Ragnarok actually does not come with a disc. Can you believe that? The Collector's Edition of God of War Ragnarok does not have a disc. It has a code. It has a game code. And I was like, wait, what? The fuck do you... A game code? It's a fucking Collector's Edition! What do you mean a game code? Game code my fucking ass, dude. Yeah, it has a steelbook case, no disc. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But here's the other thing. Apparently, some people haven't even gotten the steelbook or the game code. Many fans have been excited about God of War Ragnarok to such a degree that they shelled out big bucks for the collector's edition of the game. Giant chest with a bunch of additions, including Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. However, something apparently has happened with shipping where a good number of those collector's editions do not have the game in them at all. Like, this is such a huge problem. Like, how are you going to disrespect your fans this badly? These are the most hardcore of hardcore people, the people who shell out 200 bones or however much this shit costs. Probably in some cases they were marked up. They shelled out over 200 bones for this game. And you're not going to triple check that everything is in there? Come on. The fuck? While you're not supposed to get a physical disc with the collector's edition, this is so... Why? Who does a collector's edition without a disc? What the fuck? Somebody save me from this madness. I'm not supposed to get a physical disc with the collector's edition. You're supposed to get a steelbook case and a download code for the game inside of that. While all the other doodads are there, that case and code are missing, meaning these players can't play at all. Sometimes it's just the code that's missing. The ones I've talked to say that Sony customer service is not being terribly helpful, and they're hoping to get more eyes on the issue. It has been frustrating to be looking forward to a release like this for 4 years, and then to be stuck in limbo after paying a ton of money for the best version of it. All they really need is to be issued download codes, but it's unclear how long that may take. I have seen more than a few people posting about this online, but it is unclear just how many might be affected by the issue. It's certainly strange and not something you see often for a major release like this. God of War Ragnarok recently had some trouble with retailers breaking the street date a week early. A week early! Blacklist these people! Those copies resulted in a ton of footage being posted online before release, spoiling many major story moments, but now that the game is launched, Sony is hoping that it could be on the way to setting records for a PlayStation exclusive, and it did. by the way. We saw another news earlier that confirmed that it did. But we have not gotten any firm information on its performance yet. It's just too early. No, it's... I guess this article is a little bit older, right? This is from November 10th. Yeah, we have the information now. It did break records. As for the current issues with the collector's editions, hopefully that will be resolved soon, because otherwise there's a lot of bummed out fans whose only recourse is to buy another copy of the game in the interim while they've already paid this much. Hopefully Sony Santa Monica and PlayStation take notice and get this sorted out quickly. Yeah, that would be good. That'd be very good. See, the problem with stuff like this is like, how can you prove that you actually bought the game? And you guys are going to be quick to say, well, you send them a picture of you holding Mjolnir. And it's like, yeah, you can do that, but it's like, what if I have a friend that bought it? Then he can loan me Mjolnir, and I can send him a picture with Mjolnir. And it's like, yeah, there's also, oh, but you have the receipt from the store. And it's like, yeah, but you could also be hiding the steel disc. Like, there are so many different things that can happen when it's a situation like this, right? Which is why you should triple check every single, like, how many collector's editions even are out in the world? There can't be that many, because usually these things are extremely limited. Like, traditionally, Portugal receives like maybe 10 of these. Okay, for a whole country, a country with 10 million people, and we receive like 10 of these collector's editions for the whole fucking country. It's ridiculous. They're saving on shipping costs. If there's no disc, then the box weighs 30 grams less, making it cheaper to ship. No. In Poland, there was an issue in shops. There was a mix of versions that were designated for Polish market and those which were not. So people who happened to buy the wrong copy would not be able to access Polish dubbing. Yeah, dude. I think they should take the L. It's like, look, just there's going to be people that are going to get God of War for free. It's just that simple. There's going to be some scumbags that are going to get God of War Ragnarok for free. But do right by the people who fucking bought this. Like, just do right by them. Are you kidding me? Just fucking do right by your people. Not like, oh, we'll review this. We'll figure it out. No, fucking figure it out now. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's like this all ties in together. It's like, why is there not even a fucking disc on it? That's what I want to know, right? Why isn't there even a disc on it? Then while Dragonflight Collector's Edition had lots of copies damaged or badly printed. Don't know. I don't buy World of Warcraft digital collector's editions. Wait, digital collector edition? No, just collector edition. But yeah, that's rough. I hope they do right by their people in time. But yeah, it is what it is.